Orlando, Florida, not too far from Epcot. We'll ride a little monorail around Walt Disney World Resort. Here at the Amway Arena, it's a 10-point lead, 52-42 for the match. It was 20, and Dwight Howard struggling, Tim Duncan struggling, but there's a reason these teams are playing well. Hubie, what is it on the Orlando side?
Well, I like the fact that Vince Carter and Rashard Lewis are having great games. Vince started right off in that first quarter by hitting the threes. He knocked in 3 threes, gave you 16 points. He was making them from all over. Beating the double teams, coming out on the second pass, easy shots if you're in tune. Then at the end, setting up Rashard Lewis, Vince has 5 assists. Rashard Lewis comes in, shoots a high percentage. Everyone is happy to see him get off the schneid. He's been struggling. Now you can see the two of them are 10 for 14 from the field, and then you give them Vince, you get the 3 threes in, and also Rashard. So it's a good night, Mike, for the coaching staff and also for the players who have been struggling.
Especially Lewis. He's made 5 field goals the last 3 games and 5 in the first half. Meantime, John, a couple of guys keeping the Spurs in this second of a back-to-back.
Well, Ginobili and Richard Jefferson. Richard Jefferson, the guy who's been struggling, and Manu Ginobili for the better part of this season. These guys were great. 13 of 17, 6 boards, 28 points between them. Great news there, but the bad news is Tim Duncan, 1 of 7 for 3 points. These guys, Hill and McDyess, 3 of 14. These guys have got to get it going if the Spurs have any chance to win today.
Both of these teams have won 8 of their last 9. 2 hot teams. Lisa, let's get set for the second half.
Well, Mike, I spoke to Greg Popovich, and he said the difference in the game, their threes. He said our rotations on the double teams have just been god-awful. He says, I've never seen us rotate this badly before. And I said, like I asked you after the first quarter, what can you do to fix that? And he said, hey, I wasn't trying to be smart, but it's not like we can stop the game and run drills. We just got to do better what our guys already know how to do. And I said, see, that's all I really wanted.
See, you satisfied with the answer now,
I'm satisfied.
Great, good. The night's done.
Whoa.
We got home. Duncan missed everything on the opening shot of the second half.
I know he's a great bank shot artist, but not when it's on the other side of the ring.
Same 5 that started the game. Start this third quarter for the Magic. Lewis chased out of the corner.
Nice.
Nelson. Jameer Nelson. He came down on Ginobili's foot as he shot as well. That's the 3rd time a Magic player has come down a bit shaken up, but he seems to be okay.
Well, that's simply not finishing your defense. 2 great closeouts to run guys off, and they didn't get to the 3rd guy, Jameer Nelson.
It seems to be okay. Jameer still grimacing and flexing that left foot. After the bad miss, Duncan bumped by Howard, and Dwight has picked up his 3rd.
Now we're going to show you the double team, and as the ball is rotated around, Jameer Nelson hits the shot. Now people are saying, why are his points down this year? Well, last year he shot over 50 from the floor, okay, and then over 45 in threes, 88 on the line. This year he's struggling with his shot, only shooting, it's not bad, 45%, 37 in threes, but it's not 50 and 45. He's having a nice solid year, but not a spectacular year in shooting.
One more for Duncan. I thought it was Ginobili was right there defensively. I know it was McDyess coming out.
It looked like both feet he landed on.
Yeah,
McDyess.
right?
He kind of landed at the same time with both feet.
He just tightened his shoe and just said, I'm going to keep going here.
Well, Jameer is certainly a big piece. I mean, remember last year they got to the finals. He wasn't 100%. A lot of discussion was made whether he should be used at all, sparingly. How much do you play him? It was a difficult situation for Stan Van Gundy. And I know he's excited about being fully healthy as this Magic team makes a run to the finals again.
Yeah, I like this guard-to-guard pick and roll. They force the switch, and once again now, that forces the double team. Bad foul by McDyess on that rotation. But I like what Stan Van Gundy's doing. When they run that guard-to-guard, it's an automatic switch. When they get the switch, Hill is in a bad position with Carter on a post-up. Like the strategy.
Dice has 3, like Howard does for Orlando. And Duncan for the Spurs. First of 2 meetings between these teams. They'll hook up April 2nd down in San Antonio. Very late to get the first meeting between 2 teams. It's true in our second game. Milwaukee and the Clippers, the red-hot Bucks, who've won 12 of their last 13. There's only one other set of NBA teams that have not played their first matchup this year, the Rockets and the Celtics. They'll take care of that on Friday as Carter calls for the travel. Well, all-stars, big-name guys, big build-up. Not so much. Happens.
We all know it happens. But then again, we got a full second half here. Both guys are going to get their touches as long as they stay in the game and out of foul trouble.
Howard has 3. Duncan goes off the glass and misses.
That shot right there is the shot that Dwight Howard needs to put in his repertoire. And once he does, he will start to become a dominant offensive force.
Now, I like what Howard just did there. We talked about it right at the beginning, and that was posting up in transition. He had Duncan on his back, and he had him all the way pinned down in the paint. And unfortunately, Jameer Nelson could not make the pass.
Carter shut off by Duncan, pulls up and missed. Jefferson the rebound for the Spurs. San Antonio 40-25. They are the 7th seed in the West as we sit right now with a month until the playoffs begin. And George Hill is having a tough night. He's missed all 4 of his attempts, and it's Orlando ball.
Hey, Mike, I'm coaching there. I'm a little upset because Duncan hustled down the floor, and when Hill had him early, he didn't get him the ball. And then Howard did a smart thing. He fronted Duncan, and then Hill went away from the potential post-up situation.
Duncan slapped it out of bounds. John, you just mentioned Dwight Howard and that bank shot you'd like to see him add to his repertoire. He's done a lot of work with Patrick Ewing. What have you seen in the expansion of Dwight Howard's offensive game?
Well, it's more of a feel of comfort, of being confident in the shots. He's got all the shots. He can use right hand, left hand. He's got jump hooks. But it's just gaining a better feel as the Dice picks up his 4th foul. But you can't preconceive the game of basketball. It's a game of reaction. And you can't say, I'm going to make this move. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to spin right, and then I'm going to do this. No, that's not how it works. That's why I never believed in a lot of those drills that you put cones out there, and you say, okay, dribble up to the cone and go between your legs. Dribble up the cone, go behind your back. But that's not how it works. That might not be the move. You have to have someone live at you to react. It's a game of reaction, and I think his reactions are better. He's taking his time, and he's just a lot more confident in all the shots that he does have.
I believe, Mike, when you teach front court play, when you teach post-up play, you should always have a defensive guy playing passive defense, and he goes with the moves so that the player with his back to the basket gets comfortable of feeling the defender on him, and then you go opposite of how the defensive man is going to play. That is more realistic than doing anything without defense.
And you go to a Magic practice or watch an Orlando game early on, the Hall of Famer Patrick Ewing is out there tutoring Dwight Howard, guiding him, going through everything, and we'll see as Howard's offensive game continues to grow. Now, the foul on McDyess was his 4th. Malik Harrison comes in, and here Greg Popovich tries to go smaller against this Orlando lineup to get something to click. Jefferson doubled, finds Duncan, the only true big on the floor. Ginobili, 3 way off.
I like defense. It was an excellent closeout that time by Rashard Lewis. Terrific anticipation by Jefferson.
As Howard was handling it, going across midcourt, Ginobili attacks for 2.
That's why big guys are supposed to get the rebound and find the outlet. Dwight Howard trying to run that break.
You see at the bottom of the screen, nice win for Toronto on a Bosch field goal with 2 seconds left to beat the Atlanta Hawks. Important here for the Magic. Have a chance to take their lead to 3.5 games.
One more point on Howard. First, let's take a look at Ginobili. Again, great pump fake, goes to his right, great strength. Up with the left hand over the outstretched arm. Ginobili's back in form, and that's the only chance the San Antonio Spurs have to increase their playoff positioning now.
Elton, the jumper is off, rebounded by Malik Harrison out of Oregon.
Now, if you're going to play small, you got to get out and score in the transition game. Then, if it's not there, secondary break with a lot of picking and rolling like you just did right there. Got you an open shot.
Barnes and Hill chase. Last touch by Duncan. It'll go down the other way with the Magic. That was Jefferson's first miss of the night. John, you can make one more point about Howard's offensive game?
It's a 1-2. When I see Kobe Bryant call up Hakeem Olajuwon in the summertime to try to put something new in his game at his age and how great he is, I want to see the same type of 1-2 and work ethic from Dwight Howard.
It's taken to the basket by Carter. First point since the first quarter, where he had 16, and the Magic take it back out to 13.
I like what we're seeing from him tonight. He is really going off the dribble, Mike, attacking the rim. Remember, he only takes 4 foul shots a game, and he had 4 at halftime tonight.
Ginobili, 18 points.
Look, you cannot allow the Spurs to hang around here. You've got to knock the Spurs out. But right now, mainly because when you go down the stretch, you have Duncan. Forget about what he's shooting once you get inside of 6 minutes. And then you also have the Spurs, one of the best three-point shooting teams. We haven't seen it yet. But all you got to do is get it together.
There you go again with Carter. Right to the basket. Very aggressive, John.
That's what he's supposed to do. That's what they want him to do. And get to the free throw line. Put the onus on the defense. Don't bail them out with tough fadeaway jump shots.
And JP, that's one of your concerns with this Orlando team as you go toward playoff time, starting a month from today.
Yeah, I think they need playmaking, and I think they need something in the paint other than Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard's taken 440 more free throws than the next guy on this team. You've got to be able to get yourself to the line, especially come playoff time.
Howard, good defense on Duncan, who is 1 of 10 from the field tonight.
I like the way he played him, Mike. He allowed him to get down in there, and he just overpowered him.
Good dribbling move by Nelson, creates space, and Greg Popovich will stop it here with a timeout. Well, the Orlando Magic, who've been the 4th best home team in the NBA this year, looking good once again. Jameer Nelson steps back and extends the Orlando lead to 15.
ESPN's presentation of NBA Wednesday, brought to you by Guinness, the official beer of March. Celebrate with a true taste of Ireland. Please drink responsibly. And Gillette Fusion, the #1 razor recommended by dermatologists.
Goes back. Update Atlanta and Toronto tonight. Atlanta up 1. Chris Bosh isolated late in the game. Step back butter. Raptors go up 1. You know, Jamal Crawford had 33 off the bench for the Hawks. Last play here inbound. Never really got a good handle. Misses it, and everybody down on Bay and Front Street in Toronto is happy as it snaps a 5-game losing streak for the Raptors, who are on that number 8 spot bubble in the East. Mike.
Thank you for the local knowledge. Canadian, Mark Jones. Dwight Howard and the Magic are in the 2 spot. They are looking to win their division. Dwight Howard's growth as a player we've seen in stats, but what about his leadership? Important meeting happened with the Orlando team earlier this year.
I'm blessed to play basketball, you know, so I'm going to have fun. But Donald Foyle was the guy who sat down and talked to me in front of the whole team. And he said it's not about the game itself, but in practice, in the locker room, and shoot around, those areas I have to show more leadership and show more maturity, you know, when we having shoot arounds instead of playing around, joking. You know, be serious, you know, show the guys, you know, that you are a leader and that you want to be respected by the team.
Interesting perspective provided by Donald Foyle, who has played very limited games this year for the Magic, but was now in his 12th year in the NBA, has been around, was with Golden State, and that was some of the rap on Howard over the last couple of years, that fun-loving, jovial nature. We see him take those half-court shots before the game. Good attack by Barnes after the feed from Howard, and the Magic back up by 15. But, I thought it was interesting. Here's a team meeting, and Howard called it, and he wanted to do the state of the state with the guys in January, and then at the end, Foyle said, hey, let us talk to you about you. And Lisa, what did Donald Foyle add to that conversation?
Well, I talked to him about it. He said, you know what, I wasn't trying to call out Dwight or anything. I was just trying to get him to look at the whole picture, the entire body of players. He said, guys will follow you wherever you go, but the question is, where are you leading them? And he said, you know what, leadership is great from a distance, but he really opened up the floor to the other players and said, hey, if we have each other's back, let's be honest. Let's not talk behind each other's back. Tell Dwight what you need from him as far as being a leader. And he said, guys were very honest. And they said, said, hey, sometimes when you joke around in practice, it's easy for you to do it, but it's distracting for us, and sometimes we get off track, and it's tough for us to turn it back on. We love your fun-loving style, but we just need you to be a little bit more serious. And Dwight, to his credit, paid attention. He didn't take it the wrong way. He learned from it. Mike?
Thanks, Lee.
Yeah, well, let's put it this way. This is his 6th year in the league. He's not a rookie. He's not a second-year guy. He is the #1 center in the league. He's the #1 center on the Olympic team. We're talking about a guy who's making maximum money. This is a situation to be accountable. You are the team leader. That means that you come every day, and yeah, you can have fun, except for one thing. When it's time to pay attention, you've got to pay attention. So there's no slippage in our accountability at all 5 positions.
JB, do you feel the star player needs to be the tone setter in shoot-arounds and practice every day?
Yeah, I agree. And I think there's still some room for improvement for him on the floor. We look tonight. He hasn't really been a factor tonight. When teams come and double him and take him out of games, where he picks up a silly foul, he has a tendency to check out of the game and not do. He can let his offense dictate his defense, and you cannot allow that to happen. You still have to be the dominant shot blocker and rebounder that he is.
Nice take by Nelson after Hill made his first field goal of the night. George gets beaten on the other end by Jameer, and a chance at a three-point play.
Now, this is just an excellent answer at this end of the floor. This is Nelson at his best. He loves to go down in there, challenge the big people. I'll take my man if the rotator's there. I'll take it to the basket. You foul me, I'm an 85% foul shooter. I'm going to go to the line and get my points there also. I'm happy for 2 guys tonight. Nelson has shown us that he's coming out of a little bit of a slump. And also Rashard Lewis. They need this guy to be at the top of his game every night from now to the end and the playoffs.
16-point Magic lead as we hit the 5-minute mark in the 3rd quarter. Nice move by Jefferson, but he couldn't finish. Same team down there, guys.
Well, he thought he got fouled. I thought he went off on the wrong foot, so he couldn't elevate to dunk the ball.
Yeah, you're right. I think you're right, Coach.
Nelson, 3. Howard chased it down and knocked it out. When you see Jameer this time of year, you think of back, I guess it was the tournament in 2004, along with Delonte West, Phil Martelli, St. Joe's team, 27-0. They went through the season undefeated. He was the consensus player of the year as a senior, and then they lost in the regional finals for the great run they had.
I don't know if it was you that asked him today, have you talked to Delonte? And he said, not really. It's getting too close to playoff time. You don't want to get too comfortable with one another.
No fraternization, huh? Malik Hairston beating us for 3. That's rare.
I like that's how it used to be.
Yes,
you know.
Oh, absolutely. Come on. There were plenty of teams. If you fraternized out on the floor shooting before the game or during layup drills, you got fined big numbers. Big numbers.
Hill fouls Carter. You mean that when the Pacers and the Knicks were going through that playoff series, guys weren't having dinner?
I don't think so.
Hey, come on now. When we watched that Reggie Miller thing the other night, that one sequence where there were about 7 plays going to the basket, not one guy even got close to the net without going down. And if you notice, no one picked the guy up either.
That's right.
And today, you would be suspended for at least a month.
Hey, let's tell you what's coming up on national TV. The Magic have a back-to-back in Miami tomorrow night. New Orleans, Denver, the TNT Thursday games. Boston and Houston on NBA TV Friday, their first meeting of the year. And we'll see the Spurs Sunday in Atlanta, followed by Portland and Phoenix. QB was talking about the 30 for 30 ESPN special that aired after Selection Sunday in the bracketology on Reggie Miller. A fabulous show. Great 90-minute watch. I don't know when it's going to be on next. I know it's available on iTunes and DVD, but if you love hoops and you remember that stuff, you've got to go see it. It was just great. Fallon Barnes.
And also the emphasis of when Reggie was drafted and how the people in Indiana were upset that they did not take Steve Alford from the University of Indiana. And then Reggie's development. I loved all of that. And I liked that they're talking to people. They did great clips of people analyzing certain situations. It was terrific.
Bogans is blocked by Lewis on the run out. Here it comes. Carter at Jefferson. Big collision with two big-time players, and the foul is called on RJ.
Did you say you could get those on DVD? I mean, because I missed a few. The Len Bias I heard was great. I mean, they do a terrific job on those. And I love the Reggie Miller the other night. I thought Cheryl Miller was terrific in that.
I'll get my people right on that for you, John. Try to get you an update on how you can make those available. Perhaps you can watch them on your iPod. Carter's coming to the line. Garrett Temple, by the way, has checked in and making his Spurs debut. His dad, Collis Temple, also played for the Spurs in the ABA days, 24 games in 1974-75. So there is Garrett, who has played 14 games this year with the Rockets and the Kings. And with Tony Parker's injury and Michael Finley asking to, and having that wish granted by the Spurs, be released, and he ends up in Boston. Played well the other night when you guys had them. They need more bodies here. And here's Garrett Temple signing a 10-day contract and now a Spur.
Well, this is a coach right now who's looking, hey, my starters just played 8 minutes, and we got absolutely nothing. We thought we were going to make a run. Instead, they've increased it to 19. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to a lot of athletic guys. I'm going to play small, hope that we can defend, play with Duncan, and then get out on the break, and hope that somebody can make a field goal.
Off the miss by the rookie out of LSU, Temple. Amir Nelson takes him to school.
Nice.
Got the bump. Now, I was watching Temple come down here, JB, and Tim Duncan sat on the screen like, hey, welcome to the Spurs.
Yeah, really. Hey, Timmy, get over here and get me open. Tim, yeah. It's me, Temple. Like, he certainly wasn't bashful. He,
It's me, Temple.
It's me, Temple. Hey, seriously. I've been on teams where a guy has to remind you who they are when they're shuffling 10-dayers in there once in a while.
NBA doubleheader for you Sunday night. Enjoy the college hoops, and then we've got two good games for you. The Spurs will be in Atlanta to take on the Hawks, and then the Portland Trail Blazers and the Phoenix Suns. NBA Special Edition Sunday starting at 8 Eastern Time. Have you been, and you did move a couple of times in season, have you been on a team where guys come to one of your teams where you kind of look out there and you forget who the guy is?
Absolutely. When you're on really bad teams, as I was early in my career,
right.
we ran through maybe 23 guys in a certain season, and you'd have no idea who a guy is.
Garrett Temple was signed to that 10-day contract 4 days ago, March 13th.
Temple's my dark horse pick in the NCAA, by the way. Temple Owl.
I'll tell you, they've done a terrific job there.
Fran Dunphy.
Fran Dunphy. Not only the great job that he did at Penn, and now at Temple, they've turned that whole program around. He's an outstanding coach.
Richard Jefferson comes to the line. I asked Richard about Arizona, his alma mater, not making the NCAA tournament first time in 25 years. Transition. He said that he and Sean Elliott, Spurs broadcaster, our former colleague, two great Arizona Wildcats, they checked out of the little bracket that the Spurs were doing as a boycott because Arizona wasn't in it. Sean later told us, that he's back in there, but the rest of the guys say that Jefferson checked out. March tournament time, so gather your coworkers, friends, family, ESPN's Tournament Challenge. You only need 5 minutes to fill out your bracket, then you can brag about it for generations if you win. ESPN.com. Go do it tonight. Get it done in the office tomorrow and enjoy root for your school.
Sometimes it's easier if they're not in because you have to pick with your heart most of the time when you know darn well that they're not going to the Final Four and winning the championship.
Somebody asked me, what do you think is going to happen in the West region? Do you think I'm sending in a bracket without Syracuse? Howard on the lob from Carter. And it's 22.
See, that's a perfect example of knowing what's happening. When they made that move down in there, they had a switch, they had a guard on Howard, and you take the defense away, throw the lob, you cannot defend it.
Well, I've been impressed with Vince Carter, obviously, with his points and his shooting, but the assists, his playmaking ability tonight has been terrific. 6 assists tonight.
Temple shoots over Nelson, and he gets his first points as a Spur. Nelson was watching that 6'6" guard who played at Rio Grande Valley for the Vipers as he hooked on in the D-League before getting this opportunity with his third NBA team this year. A lot of of those call-ups from the D-League get their opportunities here the last month of the season and a chance to make an impression and make a roster for the next year.
Well, you always tell them when you come to your team, look, we want you to play here and play well. The big thing is, remember, the other teams that see you play, they want to see what you can do in NBA competition.
The ball rotation was great. Barnes couldn't hit the three. Bogans brings it back the other way for Spurs.
I talked with Coach about the D-Leaguers the other night. The Golden State Warriors have 3 D-Leaguers that have scored 25 points or more this year. So any D-Leaguer out there, call the Golden State Warriors if you're looking for a job.
Well, Nelly can crank out another starting lineup, and he's got the most in the league. He's getting close to 40 different starting lineups this year. It's incredible what they've been able to do out of Golden State. It's Dwight Howard around the rim, able to drop one in as Vince Carter set him up. And speaking of high draft picks, Howard was 1 overall in 04. Bogut was 1 overall a year later. Andrew and the Bucks take on the Clippers in Game 2.
Bounty Hunter presents great duos.
Hey, Jerry. We make a pretty great duo in our new movie, The Bounty Hunter.
Yeah, we do. We make a very unlikely duo.
You left out great.
Sorry, I just have so many more lines to remember than you.
Orlando's powerful duo of Howard and Carter clashes with San Antonio's Parker and Duncan. Carter's arrival in Orlando has improved their chances for returning to the finals, while Parker and Duncan are in the hunt for San Antonio's 5th NBA championship. The Bounty Hunter, in theaters March 19th.
And they hope to have Tony Parker back as part of the equation for the Spurs come playoff time. But Parker will not be around for the end of the regular season as the Spurs try to continue this stretch. They have won 50 games or more for a decade. 10 consecutive seasons, winning 3 titles, second to the Lakers run through the Magic era. Boston doing it, of course, in their great run. And this is the task at hand. They have the second most difficult schedule remaining. Denver and Oklahoma City also part of the Western playoff mix, having tough schedules down the stretch. And Hubie, unless San Antonio wins here tonight, they'll have to go 10-6 with that tough schedule to get to 50 wins for an 11th consecutive year.
That's right. And the pressure's on them, Mike, because in any back-to-back, you have to make major decisions about how many minutes Duncan is going to play, because you know, look at tonight. You have Duncan, McDyess, and Hill, 3 starters who score a lot of points for you. They are 3 for 19 right now. So, you know, it's been a very, very difficult night.
Howard catch inside, and Dwight is fouled. He'll come to the free throw line. We talked to Dwight. We waited for Dwight for a while today after the Magic shoot-around because he was shooting.
I think you had to shave twice there in that period. Okay.
You know, I actually did. Here's what Dwight was talking about as we'll watch him shoot these free throws. He struggled over his career, struggling here tonight at the line as he is 1 of 6. But it's not because of a lack of work. He puts in the time, and he told us about it today.
Free throws is one area that I've been working on, and I think I've gotten a lot better, you know, in shooting my free throws. After every shoot-around, I shoot 100 free throws, and today I was 83 out of 100, so that's real good. You know, usually I stay between 75 and 80. And my highest is 87, you know, so I've been doing pretty good in that area. And also we work on jump shots, you know, placing up and shooting the ball. You know, I just shoot as many as I can till my arms get tired. And then I shoot a couple threes, you know, just for laughs and fun, and then we get out.
I think technically, looking at the free throws, he should look at the rim longer. And I thought LeBron James earlier in his career did the same thing, and he really struggled that. You look down and bounce and do your routine and then go up and shoot. You want to look at your target as long as you can. You have an opportunity to stand there for 10 seconds. Look where you want to shoot the basketball for as long as you can. I just believe that gives you a better chance. It's like a putt. You're not going to just take strokes and not look at the hole. You're going to look at the hole. You want to see where the ball wants to end up. It's the same in basketball. Look at the spot on the rim that you want to shoot the ball to as long as you possibly can.
I will take the... Whoa, there's a lot for Howard. It's a second hookup from Carter to Howard here in the quarter, and it's a 22-point lead. Well, if a Barry's telling me about free throws, I'll listen. Vince has 7 assists, tying a season high. Lee Harrison short. See what JJ can do at the back end of the clock. Williams, Howard's got to face and shoot here. No awareness of what was going on with the clock as we come to the end of the third quarter. The Magic led by 5 after 1, by 10 after 2, and they took it out to 22 at the end of the third quarter. Dwight Howard getting a little more involved here in that quarter with 9 points now on the game. Vince Carter is leading them with 24. It is all Orlando shooting 52% and on their way to a 9th win in 10 games.
Welcome back to Amway Arena. Stan, you guys added 12 points to your 10-point halftime lead. What was the key to breaking the game open in that third?
Well, they missed some shots. I mean, I'd like to think our defense was a little better, and it was, but they had a lot of makeable shots they didn't put in the basket. We did put the ball in the basket. That's generally what it comes down to.
What do you like about what you're seeing from Vince Carter so far tonight?
Well, he's playing very efficiently. He's making shots. He's making the right play. So, yeah, he's just playing very well.
All right, thank you very much for your time. Mike.
Lisa, thank you. Stan Van Gundy up 22. Happy to see you, Lisa, for the end of the third quarter interview. Your best friend, Stan. See?
When has that ever happened? You know what? I should interview all coaches when they're up by like 22.
22, yeah, exactly.
I should be so lucky.
Right. Gortat with the hook on the baseline. Makes it 24. We kind of joke with Stan and about his intensity with this Magic team. He has really pushed them here to very good heights. Good talent, obviously acquired by Otis Smith, the GM. But understand Van Gundy now in his third season after tonight. This Magic team will be 159-74. That's pretty darn good stuff.
You can always talk about coaching staffs. Can they win on the road if they have a good team? Last year, 27 wins, 27-14. The year before, 27-14. And right now, this year, they're 20-14. So they have a chance to match it. That is an incredible stat. Good coaching, good performance, good game plan, and good performance by your players on the road. That's hard to do when you take over a bad situation, which he did.
This team was 3 years of fighting to get in the playoffs, just getting in, but being an under 500 team, and has elevated them to 52 to the conference semis in 08. John last year to the finals, a 59-win season. Otis Smith, member of the original Orlando team back in 1990, able to do a good job acquiring talent around Dwight Howard to bring Vince Carter this year, and we'll see where it takes them in the playoffs.
Well, I think Stan's a terrific coach, and we talked about how underrated they are defensively. I think that's number one, what he brings, and I'm just glad that they didn't have the interviews when our colleague Jeff Van Gundy, Stan's brother, was coaching, because it might be even worse than Stan.
I think they did. Did we have a year?
Did Jeff get it? I don't know if Jeff got him. Maybe they did. But
that's big for Lewis here tonight. 3 threes for Richard, and a huge shooting slump coming in. He has 17 points. Second behind Carter with 24. Please.
And Mike, I know the coaches get a bad rap, and that's the one thing people always ask me. Are the coaches, why are they always so mean to you? They're nice guys, and before the game, there's a, hey, hello, how are you? We hug, everything. So it's nothing personal. They're just so locked in during the game that's the last thing that they want to do is kind of ask, is to see me.
Carter trying to hit Jason Williams, and we understand that. I always thank the coaches on the air when they do those interviews, or try to most times, because it's an opportunity for the fans to get a little closer to the game. And maybe you don't get great pearls of wisdom as Jan Mahimi scores from the inside as Mahimi, 23-year-old, in his second year out of France, out of 46 points on the season. And the NBA helps us do that. The nationally televised games, the PR staffs and the teams help get the coaches over for those interviews. Do you get exact strategy? No, because the other side is they can hear it and take it, but you get a little bit of insight that otherwise you wouldn't. And the access has been one of the great things over the years of the NBA, and has made the league so friendly to players and fans. Hit ahead for Gortat, and he's fouled inside by Jefferson.
I just like the entertainment value. I think it's terrific. Popovich and Coach Phil Jackson and Stan. I mean, these guys are, you never know what they're going to come with, and it's always, I'm always anticipating what it's going to be like. I love it.
You know, but and seriously, you think about that for a second. Out of timeouts, you'll often hear what's going on in the huddle. When you sit in an NBA game, I mean, you know, your seats are usually pretty good, and for the fortunate and the financially sound folks, you get to sit steps away from some of the best athletes in the world. The access that fans have so close to the game is very unique to the game, and I think the coaches and players appreciate that.
Well, I think the coach himself, he wants to be civil at all times. Unfortunately, when the timeout happens, how's my team doing right now? How have we been doing in the past 5 games? Maybe I'm upset with a player who just broke 3 plays. Now I have to come and ask and answer Lisa's question. So I might not be the happiest dude in the building here tonight. Okay.
Coach, did you have to do those when you were in Memphis? No? You didn't have those in Memphis? How would you react to these things?
No, I would
just because if you're not playing well, you'd be...
Yeah, no, because, you know, you want to talk to your team. You want to talk about strategy. Who knows, you know, how the situation is going right now. And I feel I want to get into the huddle, and I want to talk to my guys, and let's change the game plan or compliment because you're playing well. The big thing is what's happened before this game, and also the people that are annoying me if we're getting routed right now.
Lewis with a 3, and the lead is 25. If you're wondering why we're having this conversation, it's because in Spurs history, Mahimi, Temple, and Hairston have not been on the floor together until right now. And
you know what's interesting, Mike? We've been talking all night about Duncan, McDyess, and Hill, you know, going 3 for 19. But the Spurs have the #1 scoring bench in the league at 40 points. We have not seen anything close tonight. They have 16 going into this point right now.
And a lot of that coming when we had Ginobili and Jefferson coming off the bench.
Sure.
Now we have them as starters, a little bit different rotation.
But everything has to adjust, Mike. And when you put that second unit out there, something's got to happen.
Brandon Jennings, have you seen the rookie who's caused a big conversation around the NBA? Well, if you haven't, your chances next. The Red Hot Bucks are in LA to take on the Clippers in Game 6.
Mark Jones back in the studio. In the Zone, brought to you by protege LeBron James with another transcendent, indomitable performance. He had 32 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists, short of a triple-double by a couple rebounds and assists. Third time they've won the Central Division, the Cavs, and he's 3 points shy of 15,000 for his career, Mike.
Closer to that would have been back-to-back nights with triple-doubles for LeBron. And we remind you, Mark, that Andrew Bogut and the Milwaukee Bucks have won 12 of their last 13. Take on the Clippers next. Milwaukee just a half game behind Dallas for the best records in the NBA since the All-Star break. And Orlando's sitting right there at 11-3 as well. So the Magic inching up on that list. One of the best records in the NBA since the All-Star break. Matt Barnes sips a nice hand for Anthony Johnson, who has been a healthy scratch, or rather did not play coach's decision, I should say, 38 times this year. But great option as the third point guard on this team behind Jameer Nelson and Jason Williams.
I like what Stan is doing. You know, you have Jason. All right, Anthony. Let's hear it for the College of Charleston, South Carolina. Come on. Butch Crest and that team. Come on.
Avi Kremen.
Yeah, and they were in the playoffs with Johnny Crest. They had a lot of upsets.
Oh, yeah.
And this young man is loved in that Charleston area. He does a lot of great work in the summertime with the camps and then also speaking. And people expect him to get into the coaching profession. I like what Stan is doing. He's playing Jason Williams and Johnson, and then also Riddick, having Johnson match up front, going against the young guys that are out on the floor right now for San Antonio.
Brandon Bass and Gortat rounding out the Orlando 5. Magic jumped out to a very good first quarter shooting, really have not trailed. Mahimi goes off the window to knock it in over Gortat. Mahimi has 8 points on 3 of 3 from the field. Just all of the 2009 season with a right ankle injury. He too played in the D-League, was second team D-League performer a couple of years ago.
Well, you're looking right now for your guys, if you're San Antonio, please stay within what we do. Just try to execute. And remember one thing, we're going to defend, get out on the break. Hopefully we can score and trade. If not, run our set offenses so you get a little familiar with the guys that you're out on the floor with.
This is an important time. I mean, a guy like Roger Mason Jr., who's really struggled this season.
Yes.
I mean, maybe this could be a 7-minute stretch here where he starts feeling good about himself, knock down some three-point shots, play good basketball, and maybe that can carry forward for the rest of the season.
Has that ever happened for you in a blowout game where you kind of got hot and felt a little better on the floor next time?
Absolutely. I mean, you got to always play the right way, number one, and that's what coaches stress. Don't play the score. And these guys are trying to play for their NBA livelihood, a lot of these guys out here. And, yeah, when you're struggling, hey, you see that ball go in as Jason Williams knocks down a three, it makes you feel good. Yeah, I mean, I don't care that we're down 25 points. I mean, it is what it is.
The Orlando Magic, they rotate 10 guys every night.
Yes.
And tonight, they're having the luxury by getting Johnson in there as your 11th guy. And that's nice to see that the coaching staff are giving him meaningful minutes here.
Juwan Blair and Brandon Bass.
Bogart. He just bogarted it down there. That's a big boy.
Rama Bull action down there. Right?
He's got long arms, big hands. He plays a lot bigger than his size, no question.
Great hands Juwan Blair has. So good inside. Redick has his shot blocked, but a foul is called before that. You know, Greg Popovich is continuing to work and encourage the young players out on the floor. Listen to this.
Don't even think about those shots. Just let them fly. They're flat as hell. You got to get it up in the air. Use your legs. Get that thing up. Okay. Don't hurry it. Just get it up.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, because he's talking to them in a nice, quiet voice. He's trying to bring out pluses and minuses of what he's doing out on the floor. But more important, know the advantages of the guy you're guarding.
Timeout here, halfway through the quarter. Orlando leads by 25. We'll see what the Clippers have in store at home against the Bucks in Game 2 of our NBA Wednesday doubleheader.
ESPN's presentation of NBA Wednesday, brought to you by Range Rover, the luxury that's more than a luxury, and New Wheaties Fuel, prepare to win.
Back in his native Los Angeles, second year as guard for the Clippers, loves the bright lights, had 3 good games in a row here. See what he does against the Bucks coming up next year on ESPN. Well, did you catch this video last week? Michael Jordan playing horse. This was right after it was announced that he was going to become the owner, if approved, of the Charlotte Bobcats, playing horse with Gerald Henderson, the young player for the Bobcats. Well, that ownership was approved by the NBA Board of Governors unanimously today. And not bad when your owner and the all-time greats in league history come out and play horse against a young guy. And Gerald Henderson beat him twice in horse.
I would hope that he would. Come on.
It is good.
He's 40, what, 5 years old now? He probably hasn't played basketball in years.
I say he gets him back on the court one more time. Redick hits the free throws, 27-point lead.
Michael's probably really upset that he lost. Yes, he's going to be ready next time he comes into Charlotte.
Well, that approval of the sale happening, the purchase with Jordan as the majority owner of the Bobcats, happening today. And Jordan there in the house in Charlotte tonight as Gortat has a shot changed and blocked by Mahimi. The Bobcats rally. They equaled their franchise best come-from-behind victory, down 19 at one point. They came back to beat Oklahoma City, so an important win for Charlotte in their playoff chase. They were down 19 in the second quarter. Stephen Jackson scored 18 of his 20 in the second half.
Stephen Jackson has revitalized that ball club.
I agree.
Mainly when Wallace was out, and Wallace came back. And then I like the fact that the center position, Larry's done a great job coaching there with Muhammad. And then also, you know, the fact that Ratliff is there right now. So give that coaching staff of Charlotte a lot of credit. And then the players stepping up. But I like what Jackson has done since he's come to this ball club. He has scored big in the big games.
big wins for the teams in the 6 and 8 spot over the last 24 hours with Toronto, or tonight, both I should say. Toronto getting their victory over Atlanta, and Charlotte with their win over Oklahoma City.
It's unfortunate for Chicago to lose Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah, and Luol Deng at this time of the season. They just don't have enough. And if those three guys were there, I believe they would have been a playoff team, but I just don't see it's going to happen with these guys out.
Redick missed three. What do you see over here in the East? Orlando sitting with this win tonight, and Atlanta's lost. They'll be 3 up in the loss column with just 13 games to go for the Magic as Malik Kirsten.
Well, we know there's 6 games on the loss side behind Cleveland, so they're not going to catch them. The big thing right now is to stay ahead of Atlanta and Boston so that you get the second shot, and then you also get home court advantage. Because you do a nice job against Atlanta and against Boston. Unfortunately, right now you're sitting at 1 and 2 with Cleveland. But you're doing a good job against the other 2. You expect to win the first round, but then you're going to have to get by one of these people in that second round to get to the Eastern Final.
I like that shot on the bench. The starting 5 sitting there, arm in arm. Mason bumps Redick, and a foul call. Our starters are together and united. Go back and look at those East numbers one more time, what you were talking about there at the top.
Well, you know, you look at the top 4. They're guaranteed because there's 5 on the loss side between Atlanta and the Milwaukee Bucks. The race right now for the Bucks, who are playing great, they have got to stay ahead of Charlotte and Oklahoma City. But we know, ahead of the Charlotte people.
Bobcats.
Yeah, the Bobcats. Main thing for them right now is just play solid basketball. Because I like what Scott Skiles has done from a defensive standpoint against the big powerhouses, either from the West and East. They've been able to keep them quiet and not even get close to their season averages.
Well, I think Milwaukee really the only team that has a chance to upset one of the top 4 seeds. I don't see any other team in the Eastern Conference able to beat any of the others. And basically it's going to come down to if Atlanta finishes 3, they're going to play the Orlando Magic in the second round, where Orlando has dominated that series. They are 3-0 this season. They beat them by an average of 22 points. They do have one more meeting in Atlanta, but Dwight Howard owns the Atlanta Hawks. For whatever the reason, they are unable to play him, and that's a matchup that certainly will favor the Orlando Magic in the second round.
Well, you back it up because last year was the same kind of results. So we know that that's a team that is definitely a hardship if they have to play.
Anthony Johnson beats Garrett Temple into the air and an and one. AJ's been at this for 13 years. Temple's been at this for about 11 games.
Well, he's done a good job on all of the teams that he's played for that have been playoff teams. He's been able to accept the backup role for playoff teams and then execute under pressure during his career.
QB talked about it. Anthony Johnson's days at the College of Charleston. Heck of an athlete in his high school time down there. A high school all-conference quarterback and a shortstop in baseball in the Charleston area.
He's an outstanding athlete. And his older brother, was a star player at the College of Charleston. So it's they come from a great family. They take care, once they go back home, they care of all the young kids. They definitely have a feeling for the community, and that's always great to see.
We had a 40-something point game with the Indiana Pacers in the playoffs years back when he was with the Pacers.
Not that many years ago. We had a 40-point playoff game with the Pacers against the Nets in 2006.
Yeah.
Thank you for that setup, John. I appreciate it.
I just threw it out there. I didn't have that written down in my notes.
I think you were reading my notes.
I did not see your notes.
I think when I got up at halftime, you looked at my notes.
No.
Brian Anderson straight on. Missed the 3. That's a guy who played well early in the season at a 20-point game. Came over in the Vince Carter trade from New Jersey.
And he's not playing now. He's not in the rotation. It's not anything that he's done. Stan Van Gundy made clear. It's just that Brandon Bass got a few minutes. They got on a roll. They won 8 in a row.
And it all comes down to matchups.
Yeah,
all comes down to matchups. They thought they had a better matchup in 2 straight games by playing Bass over Anderson. And unfortunately for him, the team wins 8 out of 9 games.
will step out here with 2:06 to go. All the group of starters, the Magic, who had a good night, stand as one as you look at tonight's fireworks, as you have every night at the Magic Kingdom Walt Disney World Resort, not too far from here in Orlando.
NBA Wednesday doubleheader continues from the Staples Center in Los Angeles, where Rookie of the Year candidate Brandon Jennings and the Milwaukee Bucks look to continue their playoff push against the Clippers. Now back to Mike Tirico in Orlando.
All right, Kevin Calabro, thank you. We'll see you there soon. Well, one team in green, the Celtics won already tonight. We'll see if the Bucks in their green win tonight. That youngster will be enjoying the NBA action here this evening, and you can be there live for all the action at NBA.com/tickets. Do it now to reserve your seats to see your favorite NBA team take the court. The NBA, where memories happen. Good games coming up here last month of the season. First round coverage, the NCAA Women's Championship presented on ESPN by Capital One. It gets started at noon Eastern Time. Doubleheader in the noon and 2:30 window, including Michigan State, Jen Rosati's Hartford team, #1 seed Tennessee, Princeton St. John's in the early window. You see Duke, Kentucky, and Florida State's team in the late window. NCAA Women's Tournament.
I'll go with Connecticut, Mike.
You know,
well, you're out on a limb.
You really are. Yeah. You impressed me. Well, we'll see President Obama's entire NCAA women's bracket. He did the men's bracket with Andy Katz on SportsCenter earlier today, and the president's done a women's bracket. I think he struggled in the first round, he said, but then he came on late.
He had Carolina. I mean, Carolina was a pretty easy pick last year. Well, this year is going to be interesting. Well, mostly Kansas. West Virginia getting in there.
Can I finish my thought for a second?
No.
Okay. Doris Burke was also at the White House, and she will have the president's women's tournament bracket on SportsCenter tomorrow. Guy, what were you going to say? You going to tell us who's going to win the Final Four over there? Smarty, go ahead.
No, well, I mean, I think Kansas is in there, and I like West Virginia to make it.
Oh, out on a limb there.
Villanova beats Duke. That's a little bit out of a limb. Okay. What's the other bracket?
What's the other bracket?
I don't know.
The West.
I don't have Kentucky.
Kentucky is in the
who beats
upper
Kentucky?
right.
West
bracket.
Virginia beats Kentucky.
No, West Virginia's in the bottom. Are you just guessing here?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Final Four.
I'm in 9 different pools, so I don't have any idea of which ones are which.
So you're like Golick. You just put in a whole bunch of brackets. You don't just do one.
I was like the commercial. I got a Vital bracket here, my for sure's. I got my.
It's a funny. Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I got my locks here. I got my Vitals here.
That's a funny one.
It is. Let's talk about the winners. Do we think that Nebraska, a Stanford, or a Tennessee can do some damage with Connecticut? I tell you, this is, you know, their coaching staffs and the kids think they can.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Because they haven't played them during the year.
Well, it'll be great build-up for the drama assuming Connecticut gets to the final.
Absolutely.
You know, the team going for something that's never happened in the history of that sport. Back-to-back undefeated national champions. Johnson goes all the way and missed. Stat headlines here tonight. Jefferson at 20, Ginobili at 18, but Tim Duncan was 1 of 10 from the field. That is the worst career field goal performance in Tim Duncan's Hall of Fame career. 13 years in the NBA. Duncan was 1 of 10. His worst shooting performance previously was 1 of 8 against the Timberwolves in end-of-the-season game at 05.
Mike, there are only 3 players playing today for their careers who averaged over 20 and over 10 rebounds. Shaq, Garnett, and Duncan. And it's unfortunate tonight they needed a big game, but you know what? There's still plenty of games to go here right now.
They'll play again April 2nd in San Antonio. The Magic have won 9 of their last 10. Led by Vince Carter, 24. Rashard Lewis had 20. They shot 52% from the field and led almost all the way. All 24 players who played tonight scored, and the final score was Orlando 110 for Spurs 84. With Lisa Salters, John Barry, and Hall of Famer Hugh Brown. Mike Tirico. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Now the Bucks and the Clippers to LA, and here's